Men of Reddit. What instantly turned you off a woman? Her daughter asked her for permission to go to a friend's house. She told her daughter to ask me for permission. We had only been dating for a month. And I had only met the kid once. I had never seen a 9-year-old cringe before. That was your cue to step up with the true dad response. Ask your mother. Breaking up with me. I'm sorry, but if you dump me, that's it. Relationship over. I was in a relationship that over the course of 3 years we had broken up twice, and both times were more her idea than mine. The final time we broke up I refused to take her back and she got upset with me, saying that we got back together the first 2 times so I would have to take her back this time. She got mad at me saying that it wasn't fair because she didn't want it to be over. I just looked at her and said, well, sometimes breakups are one-sided. Testing your commitment. Especially if they want to see if you'd fight for me. Had a girl in high school do this. We dated for a year and then she broke up with me. 3 months later I get a new GF. I had not heard from old one since breaking up with her, mind you. She calls me like 4 days into our relationship and is screaming at me for cheating on her. What? You broke up with me? I tell her. And she says no. I was testing your loyalty to see if you'd get another girl. Right away I hung up on her dumbus. She called me a few more times with similar stories of how it was all a test and I failed. B. It had been 90 days without even hearing from her. Crazy. As F. When she thought the appropriate response to me saying something she didn't agree with was a slap across the face. She had gotten into a fight with her friend because of something she was completely in the wrong about. I made the mistake of calling her out on it. My second date with this one girl was going to a Christmas party of a mutual friend. After we were there for a little while, she started talking to this other guy and they went to some corner where no one else could interrupt them and talked for an hour. When they were done talking, she immediately told me she was leaving and up and bounced. Totally turned me off, so I didn't talk to her again for a while. A month later she reached out and was like, why haven't you called me? I was kind of dumbfounded that she would actually ask. I didn't have anything else going on at the time, so I figured we could try again. But the Christmas party left such a bad taste in my mouth I couldn't even feign interest. This is what my coworker did to me. Asked me out, we went out, she danced with other dudes and then came back to the table with 2 drinks and set them down and started drinking. I assumed the other one was for me and took a swig. She looked annoyed at me and asked me if that was enough, and she looked exasperated and came back with another drink and explained to me she was trying to pick up this dude and took her 2 drinks over to some guy's table. I gathered my sh to leave and she stopped me before I hit the door, saying that if this guy didn't wanna take her home she would need a ride. Still I just nodded and left. Stopped talking to her altogether. Later on she wrote me a note saying stuff like, why haven't we followed up? And I thought we liked each other. And so on. She couldn't understand why I lost interest in her. My cat and her dog didn't get along. She said I'd have to choose between her and her dog or the cat. I picked cat. She cried. It was the second date. Bye bye. Well done. Told her friend in public that my mom was stupid and made fun of her for 20 minutes. She didn't know my mother's friend was sitting next to her in the restaurant and heard the whole thing. We were in college and in a different town, which made the whole experience for her that much more unfortunate. I was done, particularly because my mom was nothing but the kindest person to her and made every effort to make her feel welcome when she visited. Damn. F that chick. Not literally though. Seeing her treat her parents like doormats. Or seeing her treat anyone like doormats. She told me she expected me to text her good morning every single morning before her. The B got up at 6 every day and I don't get up till 8. F off, that is horseshit. Is there a way you could automate that? I had a girlfriend recently. Only lasted about 7 months. And this is one of the reasons I, in the end, couldn't stand her. Every time she talked about something and I thought she finished speaking and I started to speak, she continued speaking but in slightly louder tone as if I rudely interrupted her. And if I happened to do it again she just went from loud to louder. Her speaking pattern was filled with pauses, so it was very easy to mistake one of those pauses for a finished sentence. Love the way you changed the font for the tune. Made me giggle as I got the picture in my head. Not being able to stay off your phone. I'm on a date to talk to you. Not watch you track your followers. It's amazing to me how many people think this is okay. I've actually been out with a girl who was actively tracking her online dating while we were on the date. Nope, right out of that one. Saying how my major isn't manly enough. I'm in nursing school BTW. And love it. Well, she's a twat. I have an accent. So anyone who is way too into that gets the boot pretty quickly. I once walked out on a date because she spent 30 minutes trying to impersonate me and couldn't understand why I didn't think it was endearing. As someone with a southern accent, I know the feeling. I lived in CT for 2 years and had someone from Boston making fun of my accent. Get yakakis and get out of here. Had a girl I dated and we were pretty into each other. One day she got extremely upset with me for saying something pretty innocuous because it reminded her of something from her past. I said I'd remember not to bring that up in the future and apologized, though that didn't seem to suffice. It appeared I was to be punished or treated poorly for it. I asked if I could get a pass on this as there was no way I could have known what I said would have bothered her, but no. I asked her if there was anything else that really set her off like this and she said yes, though I'd have to find out on my own. I asked if there was anything I could do in the future to avoid upsetting her or causing one of these situations, and again she angrily said no. I was getting a little perturbed by this point and asked if she was really blaming me for saying something harmless that I had absolutely no idea would set her off that way, and she said yes. So I tried to reason with her one last time. So you're telling me that there is a minefield out there? That you know where all the mines are but refuse to tell me? And that if I step on one of these and it goes off, it is my fault and I should be punished as a result? Indeed she did. We were supposed to go out for supper, but I told her I wasn't hungry. Got in my car and went home. If you're going to create the path and conditions of failure for our relationship, you can trust that I will find the shortcut every time. I've been there, but I chose to walk the field. I know better now. You're smart for not choosing to try and make it work. I thought maybe we could try an open relationship. After I caught her effing one of my friends. Wait, she legit thought that card would work after getting caught? What the F, yo? When they complain about me being friends with other girls. Yay. Like I'm gonna cut out every woman in my life just because you're too insecure with yourself. The ironic moment when the girl who complains about you being friends with other girls is also friends with a load of guys as well, but sees no problem, and that makes it so much worse. Instant clinginess. We went out. Had a great date and some light fun at her place. She called me the next day while I was out with a friend. I didn't answer. She then called me over and over again until I finally answered. We're talking about 10-15 calls in a row, and when I answered I asked if anything was wrong, since she kept calling. She said no and said she just hates texting and prefers talking on the phone. I had to calmly explain to her I was out with a friend and if I don't answer, I will call you back, but calling me over and over makes me think it's an emergency. We tried one more date, but at that point it was awkward and I was no longer invested. Also had one girl text me over 130 times in one day after one date. It was worse because we worked at the same place, albeit different departments. It surprised me. In both cases I thought they were out of my league. My man. You were out of their league. I was on a date where she was really mean to the waiter for a stupid reason, like not enough ice in her Sikh tail or something, I forget exactly. All of the feelings just evaporated. He's just a waiter. Bad attitudes. Met a girl online once. She seemed cool. Met her in person and she immediately starts off, "This is the kind of Mustang you drive?" And I'm not exaggerating, she said it as rudely as possible. So I asked her to get out and she refused. F that, you owe me a movie. We are going to see a movie. Shtai car or not. I had to throw her purse out the window to get her out of my car. Calling her university teacher's read after 30 minutes on our first date. She could not take the test because she did not show up a couple of times and thought it was her professor's duty to tell her in advance. Well, read the damn syllabus. You are not in high school anymore. She told me all her elaborate plans of getting him fired. After I told her she was in the wrong, she got mad. $100 says she never finished college. Bad breath and bad hygiene. This. She looked decent enough. But I couldn't get past the smell. Isolating me away from my friends and yelling at me when I hung out with them. Yeah, I hate people like that. Smoking. This. Dated a smoker back in high school. Nice girl. But she left a bad taste in my mouth. She told me she was going after her ex for a certain amount of money. That on its own was not the problem. The money she wanted was the $500 in shared living expenses she contributed over the 7 years they were together. She wanted every penny back. She thought that as long as they stayed together, then the contribution made sense. But if they broke up, then she got to live for free. Retroactively. Food. Mortgage. Utilities. All of it. So she was contributing maybe 25% of the overall living expenses. But because he made 60-80k a year and she made 30-40k a year, she shouldn't have to pay a single dime of those shared living expenses over the years they were together. Unless of course they stayed together. If she had done some calculation to figure out how much of that $500 went toward the principal on the mortgage and wanted that back, I'd have agreed. 100%. But no. She expected her man to pay 100% for all share living expenses. I had been dating her for a couple of weeks and broke it off a week or so later. Desperation. It's a common internet meme for men to be desperate and scare women away. Let me tell you. It happens the other way as well. I met a girl online who was pretty, had a good job, kind, generous, and was overall a solid catch. The problem she had was that she was way too desperate to find a partner. I'm not even saying she was the kind of girl who had the relationship mapped out in stages, that is, date 8 months, married in 16 months, kids by 24 months. Those girls exist, too. But this girl was just desperate for a partner. She was pursuing the idea of coming home to her partner, cooking him dinner, making him lunch, sitting on the couch in sweats eating popcorn basically. She was in love with the idea of being in love. All those things are great goals for a relationship that you can aspire to over time. Not so much something to pursue or dream of on the first or second date. I was in a long-term relationship with someone like this and it hurt when I realized she didn't really like me that much. It was just that she really wanted to be in a relationship. I'm glad I figured it out before we got married, which she was pushing for after 18 months. Ever since then I've been really cautious of people who are moving too fast or just seem to like the idea of being part of a relationship no matter who their partner is. Laziness. Worked a bullshit job so ends can meet and she stays home reading fanfiction for Supernatural and Twilight crossovers all day. No chores. No cooking. Cleaning. Just fanfiction and trash producing. Kinda killed my interest fast. Why the F would you live with that? Entitlement. As in, I deserve special treatment every day of my life cause I'm so beautiful. Makes me want to barf. No matter how pretty they are. Time will have its revenge. If she hasn't bothered to develop a personality she'll be very lonely when the pretty wears off.